encoding the information. In what way it should be encoded. And when we say encode, then we also look at there are number of factors involved in encoding. So one of that is whether I transmit as a voltage or current. So which physical quantity I should use. Secondly, I should know how many number of levels I am going for, multi-valued or a binary valued. Then it is also looking at whether I am going for a unipolar or unidirectional or bidirectional signaling or unipolar and bipolar also. So signaling has many aspects. It is actually a very vast topic, and I'll try to give you a flavor, a succinct flavor, not in very detail, but I'll try to give you a complete summary of what is actually the signaling is, and we will also be looking at the wire models. When I say wire models, that means it will include the modeling of the wires also, like in under what conditions I can assume it as a lumped capacitive network, under what condition it behaves like a RC network, or it is behaving like a LRC network. So what are the conditions in which you can make approximations, and if there are no approximations to be made, how do we model the wires so that when we simulate through that model, by using that model we get a very accurate representation of the interconnection. So we'll try to have a look at all these issues. So as I said in the last class, that signaling, when you design a complete system, actually it is designing, you need to design a transmission driver as well as a receiver drivers. So there would be a transmitter, there would be a receiver. So at the end I have to have a driver design. Okay, driver designs will be there. So transmitter driver will be there, receiver driver will be there, and then there would be you have to look at into the design metrics, performance metrics, which are how much energy you are consuming in transmitting a bit. So energy expended per bit. Okay, what's the output impedance of a drivers, where there will be a signal absorption or not, where there will be signal reflections happening, what is the noise immunity, okay, how good noise immunity you are getting, in what way you have to minimize crosstalks. So these are some of the design metrics or the performance metrics that characterize your any signaling design. When I say signaling system design, okay. So as I said, physical quantities we start with. So two very basic signaling conventions I am going to teach you, give you understanding of these two. That is our normal conventional way in which we have a full swing approach, and it's a voltage mode CMOS signal. Okay, so my signal is transmitting from 0 to VDD, and it is in the form of a voltage. So voltage pulse or voltage sine wave. Or it can be a bidirectional or unidirectional, bipolar or unipolar. But it is a voltage which is being incident. And another way is that we have a low swing current mode signaling. Okay, so we have a voltage mode and a current mode signaling, very basic things. And now we need to look at each one separately. So as I said, let us understand the entire thing by using an example. That suppose I want to transmit a bit, okay, in a 100 megahertz synchronous system, okay, and I want the transmitter receiver, they are separated by a wire of nearly 1 meter, and I want the signal to transmit or to cross through this wire in 6 nanoseconds. This is my requirement, and we are assuming that if this is to be behaving like a transmission line, its characteristic impedance is 50 ohms. If the wire behaves like a transmission line, then it has a characteristic impedance of 50 ohms. And then we are saying, we are given that the two transmitters and receivers who are communicating with each other, they are operating at using a 3.3 volt CMOS circuits. These are composed of 3.3 volt CMOS circuits, and my system has the following noise. Like there is external power supply noise, there is a crosstalk, there is a termination mismatch, there is a self-induced power supply noise, and there is a very low common mode gain. Very, very low. Okay, but I want even lower than that. Remember, because the noise gets rejected if you have a very less common mode. So 0.01 may not be sufficient for me. I even want it even lesser than that. But if we assume that common mode gain of my system is a 0.01, accordingly, how do you carry forward the design? Okay, so some examples I have taken, and how do you design a voltage mode? How do you represent, first of all? How do you understand a conventional voltage mode CMOS transmission system? So I say, okay, here I have a transmitter which is generating a signal, and for me it is a signal changing from 0 to VDD. Clear? The signal is 0 to VDD, and then the driver at the transmitter, it is having an output impedance of RO. You may assume that you have an inverter over here. You have an inverter over here, say CMOS inverter, which is acting like a driver. Okay, so RO of a common driver is nothing but a common source amplifier. The CMOS inverter is nothing but a CMOS amplifier. Okay, so I can find its RO, because whenever a changing signal, a pulse is given, it behaves like an AC, you can find its RO. The normal analog IC design way of doing things. Okay, I can find out the impedance, and then there is a long wire which I am showing, representing it by using this notation, having a 50 ohms characteristic impedance, and it has to travel through this wire in 6 nanoseconds. And then there is a receiver. Receiver can again be a inverter to start with, to understand it. It can be an amplifier also. It can be a common source, common gate, or common drain. Nobody says that you cannot use a receiver like that. Okay, so this is how I understand. So I say that, so receiver is again a CMOS inverter which compares voltage with the power supply. So naturally, if this is, I'm saying 0, 1, it is to be understood whether the data bit is 0 or data bit is 1. I know the switching threshold will be your threshold detection point. We know CMOS inverter, if I am assuming my CMOS inverter as a receiver driver, then at that point I know anything below switching threshold will be bit 0, and anything above switching threshold will be bit. So for me, switching threshold gives me my threshold detection point. Similarly, we can have a VTC for any other amplifier, and that will decide your threshold detection point. Okay, and there can be a noise coming from the supply. Okay, supply can induce a noise. Let us say collectively put everything as a VN. So VN is getting coupled to this transmission system that is coming from the power supply noise. And then we can say, we can have certain more realistic design assumptions that this inverter has a input offset voltage. Okay, because we will have an input offset voltage, whatever you may say. However good your design is, there would always be input offset voltage. So we can set some realistic parameter, typical values that we might be getting for a given technology node. Here it is assumed as a plus minus 250 millivolts across the process corners, plus minus. Okay, and sensitivity that within 300 millivolt, minimum 300 millivolt change is required to understand that a bit pattern has changed. Minimum 300 millivolt change is required. Otherwise, it will not understand. Okay. So now, similarly, if we look at the way of understanding a low current mode CMOS transmission system, it's again a CMOS, but here current is going to be the quantity of interest. Okay. So here again we have to distinguish between a 0 and 1 bit pattern. So for me, whenever I inject a current of 3.3 milliampere, it is a bit 1. And whenever I inject a current of minus 3.3 milliampere, it becomes a bit 0. Okay, because the current is your physical quantity. So receiver transmitter is actually injecting a current into my wire. And then we say, okay, this injected current gets converted into a voltage of 330 millivolts, because the resistance of this is 50 ohms. So if you multiply 3.3 milliampere, so pulse change will be from 0 to 1, will be as if you are giving a total current of 6.6 milliampere. From minus 3.3 milliampere to plus 3.3 milliampere. That means by default, my detection threshold is a 0 ampere. Here you can see, by default I am taking it's a kind of a bipolar signaling I am choosing over here. It's a bipolar signaling you are choosing, whereas in the case of a voltage mode, it is a unipolar signaling you are using. Okay, so here detection threshold is automatic, it becomes a zero line. Becomes your automatic threshold detection point. So my total voltage gets converted into 330 millivolts. So whenever there is a change from 0 to 1, accordingly the voltage across my transmission line changes to by a swing of 330 millivolts. It will change by a swing of millivolts. Can you see here that span of change is only 330 millivolt, whereas span of change in voltage mode is 3.3 volts. There it is 3.3 volts, 0 to 3.3, and here it is only 330 millivolts. Change from minus 3.3 milliampere to plus 3.3. My voltage is changing only by 330 millivolts. Immediately your reaction would be that voltage mode signaling is better. Their noise immunity would be larger. Immediately you can say, but then we need to do some more analysis to prove us correct. Because just by looking at the voltage span, I cannot find or determine the efficiency of my signaling approach. Which is better, I cannot say it just by looking at the voltage swing. So as we say that here, we assume that only 5% of my, again it's an assumption of the example system that I am taking, that 5% of the incident wave is absorbed in the, it is a termination resistor. As I said, every receiver driver will have an output impedance or input impedance. Every transmitter driver will have a output impedance. So that means this, a certain signal, because it is a current, a certain signal will get split over here and it will get absorbed in the termination resistor. And we say, okay, only 5% is getting absorbed here. The rest of the current is going as my signal to my receiver. That means 95% signal is going to my, it's going forward as a signal to the receiver. Okay, and I can use, as I said, it can be a differential pair, it can also be inverter, it can also be an amplifier. And if we assume there is a differential pair, since the voltage across the termination resistor, then amplifier will also have an offset. Differential pair will also have an offset. So in this transmission system, the receiver is a differential pair, and we are assuming a sensitivity of 10 millivolt and a certain input offset voltage also. And a certain input offset voltage, I think the value is, because there is a figure here, the value has got hidden into that. So if I just remove it, I think it will come. It's a 10 millivolt. Okay, so there is a shift of input offset. There is a, not a shift, there is a requirement of, or a process corner gives you an input offset voltage of plus minus 10 millivolt. So this is understanding the two approaches at the block level. I am not going into the details of each and every. Now I have to start comparing. Okay, so I said, okay, this is my example and let me start comparing. What is happening? Let me start comparing. So first, as I said, the very first thing to determine the efficiency of my system is looking at the energy consumption. How much energy is required to transmit one bit? I will make calculations for both the transmission systems and then we will make a conclusion. So first parameter is a signal energy requirement. Okay, so as I said, now as energy you have to send. You have to send a signal through the transmission line, and whenever I say a transmission line means it is a wire I am talking about. It's a wire that I am talking about, and we know the very simple example that whatever is your power multiplied by time, that gives you the energy in joules. Okay, so because in the voltage mode signaling my span is a voltage. Okay, so delta V, I can write everything in terms of delta V. My transmission line has a characteristic impedance of Z0 and T is the time, and here this time will be 6 nanoseconds. Time of flight across the wire. Within this 6 nanoseconds, how much energy is expended per bit. Okay, or you can express it in terms of delta I also, because in my current mode system, my parameter of interest will be delta V, changing from minus 3.3 milliamperes to plus 3.3 milliamperes. So I can write the expression, and then T, it is otherwise the 1 meter in distance, or time wise it is, my requirement is, it's 6 nanoseconds. So put everything there, delta V in a voltage mode system will be 3.3 volts. Because delta V is from 0 to 3.3, so square, T is 6 nanoseconds and Z0 is 50 ohms. Compute, the value comes out to be approximately 1.3 nanojoules. Compute. Similarly, so power dissipation I know. At which clock you are operating? Whatever is energy expended per bit multiplied by the frequency of operation. So power dissipation per bit will be 130 milliwatt. It is 100 megahertz. We have taken a system which is operating at a frequency of 100 megahertz. Okay, so this is 130 milliwatt. Okay, now I do the same analysis for current mode system. So their I will be 6.6 milliamperes. Okay, T will be 6 nanoseconds. Z0 will be 50 ohms. Do the calculations. It comes out, what is this? I think this is, it is 22 picojoules. It is 22 picojoules. Then fine, it is for a 3.3 milliampere from CMOS power supply. So from total swing is from minus 3.3 to plus 3.3. Okay, substitute and the value comes out to be 22 picojoules. Remember, this is 1.3 nanojoules and this is 22 picojoules. 22 picojoules, can you see, this is much smaller than this one. So this energy requirement in a current mode system is much less in comparison to a voltage mode system. And similarly, if I convert this energy to power, frequency of operation is known to me, it comes out to be only 11 millivolt. So in comparison to this design metric, this performance metric, current mode system is winner here. It is much better in comparison to a voltage transmission. That conventionally I have chosen to swing between 0 to VDD, which is so much easy for me to implement. I know a simple inverter can also work as a driver. Okay, this is one calculation. Now we look at the noise immunity or the noise margin. We know reliability of any system depends on the noise. How well you are able to reject the noise or how much noise immunity you have. As I said, the swing is larger in the voltage mode system from 0 to 3.3, so noise margins will be larger. I expect a larger noise margins, whereas I expect a smaller noise margin for a current mode system. Because naturally the span is much smaller. But here is to be understood one thing is that noise immunity is different from noise margins. What actually we are interested is in noise immunity. And having a larger noise margin does not guarantee a larger noise immunity. This is what we are going to see now. Okay, so various noise sources. There can be, as I said, crosstalk will be there, power supply will be there. From the ground bounce, the supply rail, ground rail can also inject a noise. There are various sources of, too many sources of noise to get generated in my transmission system. Okay, apart from that, the MOS device itself is a noisy device. The noise device itself is MOSFET itself is a noisy device. Okay, so in this situation, I say, okay, whatever total noise I have, I categorize it into two different categories. First is the noise which is independent of the signal swing delta V. And one which is dependent on delta V. That means larger the delta V, more will be noise. And one component which does not depend on delta V at all, because that is from the external source coming from a supply. So supply noise in no way is dependent on the signal swing happening at a particular node. The supply noise is constant 3.3 volts. It is not changing. Okay, external sources which are independent, but there are certain noise components which are dependent on how large is the span of your signal. Signal here is a voltage signal or a current signal. It is dependent on delta V or independent on delta V. Okay, so we say, okay, there are certain components which are dependent, certain components which are independent. Let me say that my total noise is a summation of noise independent component and a component which depends on delta V. So K is a proportionality constant. Okay, I am causing. So Vn is directly proportional to delta V. So total noise is a combination of the two. My signal level has two levels, VL and VH, and detection threshold is somewhere in the middle of it. So approximately VL plus VH by 2, which in my case I know for inverter is going to be switching threshold. For any gate, I won't say even inverter. This is going to be switching threshold. So roughly the noise margin is half of delta V. Noise margin, I am not saying noise immunity. I am saying noise margin is roughly delta V. So if this is the situation, so now I say, okay, if my noise is Vni plus Kn times delta V, in any situation, my signal should be larger than this value. If I do not want my signal to get drowned in noise, I should have a high signal to noise ratio. In any situation, my signal delta range or signal range should be more than this. So required swing delta V should be more than how much? So what I need to do is that I have to take this expression, okay, and I need to take this expression. So what all you require is delta V, and delta V is, can I write delta V in terms of Kn? So Vn is delta V by 2. Yes, substitute Vn as delta V by 2. Okay, clear? If I am assuming my noise margin to be half of the swing, signal swing, so Vn is delta V by 2. I substitute this delta V by 2 over here and then try to simplify. I get the expression for delta V as twice of Vni upon 1 minus 2 Kn, where Kn is your noise coefficient for a component, noise component which is dependent on the signal swing. So in any situation, delta V has to be greater than this value. It has to be greater than this value. Okay, so now if I look back, look at this noise components of my example system that I am taking. We are assuming A for a CMOS, and this is for noise swing independent noise sources components, and this is swing dependent noise components, both for CMOS as well as the current mode design. LSC is low swing current mode. CMOS is voltage mode CMOS. But that doesn't mean LSC is not CMOS. Understand that. It is just a way of representing it in this table. That doesn't mean LSC is not CMOS. The bell is going. No. So we are still within our limits. Okay. So we say, okay, receiver sensitivity is 300 millivolts. That's what we have assumed. Receiver offset is 250 millivolts for CMOS voltage mode design. Uncancelled external power supply noise is 300. Total swing independent noise is 850. So if you add all of them together, the total swing independent VNI component is 850 millivolts. VNI component is 850 millivolts for voltage mode CMOS, and the typical values that we get for a current mode system, sensitivity comes to 10, receiver offset comes to 10, external power supply uncancelled noise 3, total comes to 23 millivolts. Now here, do not assume that purposely the values are so chosen that for a current mode system it is less, and these are the typical values that is usually obtained. These are typical values that are usually obtained in a certain technology. So do not assume that purposely this is done. Don't assume that. It's the typical values for which are obtained for both types of transmission systems. So this is the noise independent component calculation, and here is the swing dependent noise component calculation, both for CMOS and LSC. Okay, so self-induced power supply noise is 10. There is zero. Why? Why is there no power supply noise? Is there no power supply noise? There will be. Power supply is same in both the situations. Why is it zero there? The reason is that, remember, it's a current mode system. That means the current source is injecting the current into the transmission line, and we will be designing our current driver to be having infinite. We'll try to make it an efficient current driver. So we know ideal value should be infinity, but if it's not infinite, it must be a very high value. And whereas for a good voltage source, it has to be very low RO. Okay, that means power supply will not be directly connected to my transmission line. There would be a kind of very high impedance in between. A kind of which is isolating the power supply noise reaching the transmission. That's the reason that this is very minimal. Out of this is where this is 10% component, this is nearly 0. Even if it is not 0, it would be a very, very small value. The reason is this. Okay. Similarly, crosstalks from adjacent lines, a typical value for CMOS comes out to be nearly 10%, and this is also 10%. Same for both. Reflections from the same signal. As I said, reflections can happen. Signal will not get absorbed completely at the receiver end. So a part of signal energy reflects back through the transmission line. And if in that region, in that period, if a second bit has started in a forward direction, okay, there would be a intercoupling. And this leads to a noise. This leads to a noise generation. And this component is very large in CMOS. And this is more than 5 and this is up to 5. Okay, transmitter 10 in both the situations. So if I compute all the together, it comes out to be more than 35%, and this comes out to be nearly 25%. Just assume, just note that here you are expressing in terms of absolute values, millivolts, whereas here we are talking in terms of the percentage. Okay, it doesn't matter, I could have, or the book could have also given this in millivolt, but accordingly you have to translate it, or this percent can be easily translated into absolute values also. Okay, so I'm saying if you start putting all the components over here, so VNI for CMOS is 850 millivolts. We have seen that. This is 850 millivolts. For a CMOS system, independent noise, independent component is 850 millivolts, and Kn coefficient is the total Kn for swing independent is 30. Noise swing dependent is 35%. Delta V dependent component is total 35%. So it comes out to be 1 minus 2 into 0.35. This comes to be 5.66 volts. That means for a voltage mode CMOS signaling, delta V requirement is more than 5.66 volts. What is your highest VDD? 3.3. That means this is something which is not possible. I cannot work with a 3.3 volt supply, because my delta V swing itself is coming as a range of 5.6 volts. And if I do the similar calculations for current mode signaling, it comes out to be only 92 millivolt. Only. It's only 92 millivolt. Delta V is requirement, that's all. To cross the noise barrier, or my signal has to be more than 92 millivolts span, and I would be able to detect my signal. Remember, the transmission line modalities is the same transmission line system I am using. The parameters are different because it is a voltage signaling approach or it is a current signaling approach. So all this has been shown over here just to show you that simply by having larger swing does not guarantee that noise humidity will be larger for a voltage mode CMOS. No. As I said here, again, here the current mode signaling is better than the voltage mode. So what is the what is the best thing about voltage mode? Ease of implementation. We are seeing that energy requirement is more signal energy. We are seeing that noise immunity is also more in current mode. But then why is this so popular? Voltage mode is so popular. One reason is it is very, very easy to implement. It's very easy to implement. But then in all other ways, it's the current mode signaling which is better than the voltage mode signaling. Okay, so whenever we look at, so next design metric is delay. Because in one case I am transmitting a voltage as a pulse, in another I am injecting a current. Signal is injected as a current. So naturally they will travel through the transmission line or a wire. I am concerned about the delay. Interconnection delay. How much is this delay? Okay, so we try to compute the delay, and delay is not only the transmission line, because it also depends on the transmitter driver. It also depends on the receiver driver. If my drivers are not perfect, however good I have a transmission line design, because of mismatch at the two ends, my signal deflections will keep on happening. That means if this is 6 nanoseconds, signal is not fully absorbed, it comes back, then again travels back. So if you travels back, how much delay you have got now? 6 and 6, 18 nanoseconds. So next time, if it is getting fully absorbed, that means a delay of 18 nanoseconds you have to wait, if deflection is happening. Okay, so not only the design of the wire is important, the design of receivers are also very, very important. And as I said, we always want a incident wave switching. That means within one time of flight, the energy gets fully absorbed at the receiver point. That is called as a incident wave switching. And in a CMOS driver. Okay, because an inverter, remember CMOS amplifier, RO is, what is the output impedance? Rout. It is RO parallel RO. Remember that? Analog IC design concepts, it is RO parallel RO. And if RO is 1 mega, the total Rout will be 50K. So all I need to tell you is that it has a high Rout. That's all. Your CMOS driver has a high Rout. The larger the value, that means the poorer the performance is going to be. Whereas a good voltage requirement, good voltage modeling says that RO must be minimum. But a CMOS driver has a very high Rout or output impedance. So as a result, at the source end, what happens is it's called as a poor impedance mismatch. Because your transmission line has only 50 ohms. Characteristic impedance, only 50 ohms. And there you have a very high output impedance. Because of this impedance mismatch, we know signal energy gets lost. Don't you remember? Voltage modeling approach. We want full signal to be transmitted. So RO must be 0 for a voltage signal. Okay? So in this situation what happens? As I said, energy, you cannot have the full energy reaching the incident wave. At the receiver end or destination end. Doesn't reach. In this situation, I may be having a 3.3 volt pulse giving, but because of this voltage division happening between this high Rout and the transmission line characteristic impedance, it's only initially approximately 1.32 volts gets injected into my transmission line. It gets out of 3.3, only 1.3 volt. Look here, because of voltage division happening. So So only 1.3 volt gets incident, and then it travels through the medium. It travels through the medium. I assume a proper termination at the destination. I assume a proper termination at the destination. We will say there are three possible terminations: short termination, short circuit termination, open circuit termination, and there is a matched termination. We'll see the effect of termination. But we assume that we have the destination, we have no problem. There is no destination at all. My transmission line is infinite. We are not taking destination effect into account. My transmission line is infinite. Then what is observed? I am saying what is observed. I am not analyzing right now. What is observed is that for a poor termination, incident energy is corresponding to 1.32 volts, and then can you see that somewhere around 6 nanoseconds it is only 1.32. Okay, and then somewhere around 18 it remains that, and then there is a continuous reflections going here, then energy comes back. I am assuming there is no second bit coming. There is no second bit coming, so no coupling is happening. No noise is getting generated. It's only one bit which I have transmitted. It starts from the source, moves, and then come back, and then move, and then come back, and then move, and then come back. And can you see it reaches close to 3 somewhere at this, after this much nanoseconds. That means how many reflections would have happened? How many? Because if it is coming around approximately 55 nanoseconds, how many reflections would have happened? Because every reflection takes 6 coming back and 6 going this way. How many reflections would have happened? One reflection means 18 nanoseconds delay. Sorry, 12 nanoseconds delay. Okay, so how many reflections would have happened to reach this value of approximately 3 volts? 4 reflections. That means to get the full signal, nearly full signal or 90% of the signal at my destination, I have to wait for 4 reflections. So what is happening? What is happening in these 4 reflections? Why energy is increasing slowly? I am incidenting a 3.3 volts here. Sorry, 1.3 volt here. It's 1.3 for me. Okay, so energy comes back, dissipates, a part of it gets added to 1.3. They start moving this way and then come back again. Again energy dissipation happens. Whatever is left, it gets added to 1.3. So slowly energy goes on increasing and it reaches nearly 90% of its value, somewhere around 50 nanoseconds. You may say why energy is increasing, why voltage level is increasing. This is because I am assuming that incident wave is constant. It is still 1.3. Though it is coming from a 3.3 signal, but what I am getting as an incident is 1.32 volts only. Clear? So why this happens, I will be telling you. We will be doing an analysis, we will be drawing the lattice diagram, and we will be looking at the multiple reflections, and we will be calculating after every return how much is the energy at the source and how much is the voltage at the destination. We will keep on computing. We will do the lattice diagram approach. So now, signal encoding, we have seen how to map it into the physical quantities. Okay. So now, encoding means simple. One more aspect is how many signal levels we should have. Should we have multiple levels? Should we have only 2 levels? The minimum possible level is 2. It's a binary way of encoding the signal. So typically, either I have a voltage or a current. If it is binary only, I can have only 2 signals, or it can be more than that. I can have a ternary signal, or I can have a quaternary signal, or I can say 2 or more. More means multi-level signaling approach I am taking. Multi-level approach I am taking. Okay. So now if you have the total range of voltage changing from Vmin to Vmax, A binary says that this range will be low level signal and this range will be high level signal. That means there would be one detection threshold point which is somewhere in the middle of this range. So anything more than U0 will be a high level signal or a logic 1. Anything less than U0 will be a low level signal, that is a logic 0. But if I am going for a multi-valued, I am going for, suppose it is a quaternary I am going for. Quaternary. That is, my range is remaining fixed. I don't have any other range. My range is from 0 to 3.3. So within that I have to manage 4 values. I have to manage 4 values. That means there would be 3 detection thresholds. There would be 3 detection thresholds. So if there are n such levels, there would be n minus 1 threshold. Okay, and then I can compute what is each, how much is this range, and what is this value. I can compute, I can express it as a relationship. Okay, and then so for every, because this range will be same as this range will be same as this range will be same as this range. Okay, so for all the ranges will be same. So it is simply V low value, for the first case it is low value is this, plus, if it is the first bit, I will be 0, okay, plus delta V upon n minus 1. Delta V upon, so this whole range will be given by this expression where delta V I know from V low to V high minus V low. V max minus V min. Okay? Similarly, what is this detection threshold value will be? In here is a half of the range. I can easily say, but for a multi-valued logic, I need to compute. Again, it can be expressed as a relationship given by this expression. You can check it is correct. Simple maths you require. Okay? This is very, very simple math. And we know that any voltage outside Vmax or outside or below Vmin there is not allowed. Because for me, the range which is recognizable is only Vmin to Vmin. The period is over. So, we'll look at it some more things and then we'll continue in this direction. I need some 3-4 lectures to finish it off. Okay? I think I told you that I have sent you one of your slides. Okay, second slides I would be asynchronous, I will be sending you immediately. And I will also be sending you the assignment. Everybody has got it? Everybody has got the slides? Anybody who is left and not got the slides? Hello?
We received the slides.
From Goa side, everybody has got the slide? First slide?
Yes, ma'am.
That means nobody is left out in my distribution list. From Pilani campus? Okay, next time I will start taking attendance. I need one person to Shweta to help me out in that. I'll give you the list of the people and you need to circulate it in every class. Everybody has to sign. Do not try to proxy for your friend. Don't sign for your friend, please. Okay, thank you.
मैं विशाल बात कर रहा हूँ, मुझे कॉल आया।